Today's video is going to be about weather manipulation a little bit, and then end times prophecy seen in the sky. And stick around. Tomorrow I'm going to have some really interesting fake animal stuff to show. Okay, but on this video, this is a picture that I took from this morning, and this is something that I've brought up multiple times before in the past, how on Saturdays during certain times of the year where I live, there's a Saturday like farmers market, and every single Saturday market, these weird wavy fake clouds appear over the sun. What do you know? Just in time for the Saturday market. And I imagine that there's all sorts of other places around the world where you could find the same thing happening, where I would imagine that there's some sort of agreement, or maybe they're even a part of a government testing. Could be some sort of university testing, because I don't live far from university. And so who knows exactly what's going on, but to me it's very clear. Literally every Saturday when there's a Saturday market, I can see that there's fake clouds in the sky, perfectly locally covering the sun, just in time for the Saturday market. And they're these wavy clouds that come out of nowhere. And the day before this was so beautiful. It was going to be a hot, hot day. But nope, we get this cloud coverage, and now the wind picked up, and we have overcast now, and it's a little bit chilly of a day. So let me know if you have any local, if you've noticed, like, oh yeah, every time this happens, the weird wave clouds magically start appearing in front of the sun and block out the sun. And I mean, I guess I talked about it a little bit earlier. It seems like orchestrated, like there must be an agreement somewhere, like, hey, we're going to throw out these clouds every Saturday for Saturday market to give you cloud coverage so it's not too hot. I imagine they do that so it's not too hot. But I don't know, the sun felt so nice this morning, and in Oregon you kind of love the sun when it comes back. And so that's what makes me think maybe it's some sort of government program, or they're testing this. Because I don't know if this is common in other places. Maybe they're just testing it out here, and that's why I see it so consistently. Every Saturday when the market's running, I know I can walk outside and see these wave clouds get in front of the sun. This is not how weather used to work. Chemtrails didn't used to cover the skies and then totally blanket the sky in a silver haze. It didn't used to be like that. We didn't used to have hazy days in the summer. If you look at the weather report, sometimes they'll know ahead of time that they're going to spray the crap out of the sky. They'll call that type of weather hazy in the middle of summer, when you should be having clear skies. You'll have a weird silver haze because they just spray the crap out of the sky. Anyways, that's enough about this weather manipulation. It's a good topic. It's one where you can either face reality or bury your head in the sand, denial, total, you only are allowing yourself to have opinions that come from the TV. I don't see how anybody could fool themselves into thinking that this is the way it's always been. So now this is kind of the second half of this video. There's been a lot of weird rockets in the sky, and I talked to another Christian who you wouldn't pick them out of a lineup and say, oh, they're a wacky conspiracy theorist. There's a lot. I think Christians have a lot of free thinkers, and I even though a lot of us do go to churches and stuff like that, I think that a lot of Christians do think for themselves. And even though their pastors talk about Spaceballs and stuff, I'm sure that there's I don't know if it's a silent majority, but there's a lot more than you would think that know that things aren't the way that it seems. Anyways, weird rocket things going in the sky. The friend I was talking to about it, she was mentioning some other rocket that I couldn't find, but now they're doing weird things. In my opinion, what this is, I think that they're playing with the waters above these days. And I think that's what some of the weird stuff that we see in the sky is. And it could come into end times. And so that's what the rest of this video is. I'm not going to go into anything in detail. This is very recent, though, this stuff. Glowing donut in the sky over Arkansas. A weird spiral in the sky in Alaska. So I think that this stuff is probably Project Bluebeam, and I think that all of this stuff is they're going to need all of these technologies to sell the alien invasion in the end. So when the Book of Revelation, when the things start to unfold that are in the Book of Revelation, the Book of Revelation is truth. Those things are going to happen. But the media is going to spin it off, and they're going to have their own fake events. And if you study the way that the people in control, the people that own the media, if you know how they operate, that's what they like to do. Flood the media. If something real is happening, they'll tell you a lie about it, but then they'll also flood the media with all their own fake versions of that to distract you from the real thing that just happened. I think that's going to come into play with Wormwood. Like, Wormwood crashing down is going to be a huge event. And I personally think that they're going to say that the aliens are flinging asteroids at us. I think that's what they're going to say Wormwood is. And that they flung some crazy some asteroid at us that had something scientifically poisonous in it. They'll have some excuse for it to try to distract people. But then I think they'll have their own fake events too, to further distract people from it. I guess so spirals in the sky. This is the type of thing that makes me think of they're playing with the waters above. And so I guess SpaceX just recently did another one in Southern California, but do you guys remember a couple years ago? And that was an interesting event. I think that the event a couple years ago that was similar to this, SpaceX did this before in Southern California, but what I thought was really interesting is that it's like they didn't tell anybody about it beforehand. They were really hush-hush if they did at all tell people ahead of time. Now with the internet, they can always put a fake backdate on stuff. They can literally pretend that, this event, we've been talking about it for months, even though they performed the event without telling anybody about it. And then they pretend, what are you talking about? We have these advertisements from months ago talking about that event. But anyways, do you guys remember a couple years ago this happened in LA where it was a strange SpaceX launch that it glowed. It was weird, glowing in the sky, and I think that they're just using hidden knowledge. They know that they can create these spectacles in the sky. And so I think that was the main purpose of the SpaceX launch. Of course, they would want you to believe that, we're just launching another rocket. But I think the spectacle itself was clearly the intended purpose. They were launching at a specific time of day, getting up to a specific altitude. And I think that they were showing that they can play with the waters above the firmament. That's what I think is going on with these types of things. But who knows? In Alaska, don't they have... Is that where they have some weird technology out in Alaska that's supposed to control weather? HAARP? Is that what's in Alaska? I don't know. I think a lot of times when they tell you that they have this amazing piece of tech that can change the world, I think that they're lying about it. But maybe this is HAARP related. I don't know. But like I think stuff like CERN is more of a Disney prop than anything, and that it's not really capable of anything. In the case of CERN, I think it's just supposed to look scientific. It's like a prop. Luke chapter 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. There are going to be floods. They have been talking a lot about sea levels rising and floods. So I think that it is going to be a part of end times that the seas get crazy. There's a lot of programming about New York City being taken out by a tsunami. And the Book of Revelation does make it seem like a mighty power. I I think that the book of Revelation says that when the end comes and when they start playing this off as a big alien invasion, I think that the United States of America is gone. I think that the government just totally shuts down, and maybe the other world governments decide, like, with how much of a clown freak show we have going on with Trump and stuff, you could imagine a scenario where all the other world governments come together and say, we're taking over. You're not allowed to self-govern anymore because you guys have gone insane with it, and New York City just got devastated. And I think that the beast system will kind of rise out of the ashes of Babylon, America crumbling, USA crumbling. That's just the way that it seems to me to make the most sense. Revelation chapter 6, verse 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. This is a funny thing that I've heard Christians in the wild talk about, like, oh, there's this like deep mathematics that shows how a scroll being rolled together can be like a sphere. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, you're overcomplicating this. No, it's because it's flat. I mean, I think the firmament is like a dome, but I think it's going to appear when the dome opens up. I think it's going to appear to us as a scroll unraveling. I've had those feelings before too. One time I was driving north from California to Oregon, and this was way before, like years before I found Jesus. So I was driving north, and I was basically in a no man's land in Northern California, and I had this overwhelming sensation and feeling of the sky going down. It was like there was a top of the sky, the top line of my field of vision, it just started going down, and it revealed a new sky beyond that. And I just had that overwhelming sensation while I was driving. It was really weird. And that was before I knew anything about what the book of Revelation said, before I believed in flat earth. Okay, Revelation chapter 8, verse 11. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. My opinion is that the star Betelgeuse is Wormwood, and that it's going to crash down. And Betelgeuse was recently in the news for being weird, getting really dim all of a sudden. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So, in my opinion, they're going to say that the aliens are launching asteroids at us, and that this asteroid, they'll probably say that, yeah, it's a weaponized bioterrorism by aliens. They knew that they were launching an asteroid into us that was poisonous. That is it for this video. Let me know what you think. Stick around. Tomorrow's video is going to be a pretty cool fake animal thing, and somebody left me a comment for it. So you guys, thank you so much for the interaction and the support, and I really appreciate it. God bless everyone.